3 different continents. Yeah. So it all started off quite a few years ago. I went on holiday to America with my brother, my girlfriend at the time. He got into uni in America, and 2 days into this thing, I suddenly noticed I'm getting really bad stomach pains, and I've got a lot of goo coming out of my belly button. You're starting to see the romantic why that doesn't work. Yeah? So I go into the hospital. They say, look, we think this might be appendicitis. Now they told me that the main way to check for that was to insert a finger into the bum, prod the appendix to see how tender it is. I've since been told by a couple of friends and a surgeon that there's a few other things this guy could have done. I mean, I knew the old thing was a bit sus. He seemed really keen to do it. He didn't ask me any other questions. And as soon as he'd finished, he changed back into some overalls and climbed out of a window. But yeah, so record examination 1, done. America. Now, right on a few years, I'm living in Japan. Having a great time, but I suddenly noticed that I'm having to get up to urinate a lot in the evening. 5 or 6 times, which I thought was a bit weird. And now the internet was up and running by now, which is obviously an amazing thing for the hypochondriac. So I realised I've obviously got prostate cancer. So I then see the next thing. The main way to, unfortunately, check the prostate is through the old back door as well. So I really fight against it and think I'll leave it, and then panic takes over. So I end up walking into this emergency walk-in at a hospital in Osaka. Lady on the desk doesn't speak any English. Why should she? My Japanese was rubbish, so I end up trying to mime to her what I'm going through, but while also trying to rule out the prostate, because I don't want that. So kind of just like... I didn't even know where the prostate was. Anyway, she loses patience, walks me through to this doctor. I do the whole spiel again for him, and he just calmly sits there and listens. He's going, okay. And then I finish, and he sits there and he goes, I must invade your anus with my finger. I mean, to be fair, this guy was definitely a doctor, because he had a picture in the corner of the office, which was clearly him with his parents, and he was wearing a stethoscope. So I was fine with that. So yeah, examination number 2, gone. That was Japan. Now, a year later, I'm back living in London now. Amazingly, same thing starts happening again. So I just do my research now on the internet. I turn up like one of those people. I had like a sort of jiffy envelope full of this printed out internet research that it definitely wasn't my prostate, right? That you don't need to check that. I'll go in, start speaking to this guy. He obviously medical knowledge went out, and he sort of says that we're going to have to do the examination. Now by this point, I'm so used to it, I kind of just get onto the bed, just hitch up my knees, and sort of sadly smile back at him like an aging sex worker. And then it's done again and it's over, and I've got this bizarre record. It turns out that I just wheel up. Still happens now, but I just get on with it. Because I kind of think, unless I'm in Europe, what's the point? Like, it's not going to count for the record. So another thing we're going to be with Brexit, it's going to be a lot more expensive now if I'm in Europe and I do have to go into hospital and have that done. So, yeah, thanks a lot. So, the first poem I'm going to do tonight, I won't surprise you to hear that it's basically about how I struggle to believe that I would now be classed as an adult. So yeah, let's call this poem Am I a Man, basically. When I was a kid, I drew a stick man, and as I rode about on my bike, I wondered what being a man would be like. I figured one day I'd have a house and a wife and be handy with a Swiss Army knife, the type of man who could build a life raft set out of an old swing ball. I'd have a luxuriant moustache, a wallet full of cash, and be able to play the guitar like Slash from Guns N' Roses. I'd be a DIY god, able to feed my family with a fishing rod and some sticks. A map-reading, non-receding, team-leading warrior. A strong, silent, reliable guy who'd only cry if someone put his testicles in a vice. In reality, I cried once because I fell off a slide. I cry a lot from feelings of pride. I cried my heart out when Mufasa died, and sometimes because I just feel sad. I sometimes go running because I've looked at men's health. I sometimes go running because I hate myself and I want to get rid of about 8 million unhelpful thoughts. My head's full of crumbs like a 10-year-old toaster, full of confusion like an obscure film poster that tells you nothing about the plot. And I worry a lot. I worry that I found a grey pube, that in a conversation I had 2 weeks ago I came across as rude. I worry about the fact I can't rewire a plug without watching a video on YouTube. The fact I'm an adult now to me is surprising. I'm like Tom Hanks in Big without a wiki job in advertising. I sometimes sit up at night thinking, what am I doing with my life? I look at my mates and think, wow, because loads of them are wicked mothers and fathers now and I'm still trying to work out how to get out of my overdraft without robbing a bank. I'm scared of undercooking meat, I'm scared of that big dog at the end of my street, I'm scared of ruining things with a girl I've not met yet, but who might be the one. But I am good at making sweet potato shepherd's pie. And that's the way it goes, I suppose. I don't own a toolbox, I've got holes in all of my socks, and I know nothing about stocks and shares. But who cares? Am I a man? Yeah, I think so. The old big bottle of water, is that pissing you off, Lee? Later. It's kind of, I was leaving like 8 round his ass. Right. So, the next thing that I'd written on this list was really tragically, actually, was find love. Fall in love. It's like saying get a bit taller. I mean, we haven't got the time for me to go into why I struggle romantically, and not just here at Head and Chickens in this show. I mean on Earth. I'm just going to start with something that happened quite a while ago, and maybe blame where it all started on that. So, I'm in year 10. Used to sit next to this girl, Claire Welshman, in registration. She goes to me one day, my friend Heather thinks you're quite cute. So the wheels of love started going into motion. I bring Heather. The next Saturday we go to Cardiff, to the cinema. Now, it won't come as a surprise to you, I was no Lothario as a teen. Alright, so we get there on this date and I'm really nervous. We're in Burger King. We go to Burger King before we go into the film, and I have to go to the toilet a lot. Could be a sign of prostate. Should probably get that checked out. Anyway, we end up going into the film, and I'm thinking of something. I'm going to try the old yawn and stretch, but I get so nervous that I just keep sort of trying it and stopping halfway through. So I'm sort of doing the thing like the end of Breakfast Club. Just again, until obviously this was in Cardiff. Even though it was a Saturday afternoon, this guy from behind with I just see this knuckle on my shoulder with hate tattooed on it, and he just goes, "Put your hand down, you fucking prick," like this. So. We managed to have a little snog at the platform, the train platform afterwards, but I don't know if anyone else does this. This probably explains a lot as well, but I do. But if I'm kissing someone, I might, halfway through, I'll sort of open my eyes to see what they're doing. Because you want them to sort of have their eyes closed as well and be enjoying it, don't you? But I do this with Heather, and she's looking at her watch. I mean, British Rail, bad, isn't it? She probably had to get home, but I mean, that's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. And then, sure enough, a couple of days later, I get the old elbow. And I'm walking home with Claire a couple of days later, and she was a bit of a bitch, actually. And she goes to me, she goes, do you want to know why she broke up with you? Which you've got to, haven't you? I didn't really. So I said, and she went, she either said you or the date was boring. Now, the worst possible thing anyone could have ever said to me. I would rather she said she thinks you're ugly. I mean, she might have. I didn't ask anymore. But you or the date was boring. And if she thinks I'm boring, fair enough. But can I tell you what film me and Heather went to see? All right? Went to see Jumanji. All right? Yeah. A film about a man who's been trapped in a board game for 26 years, only to be freed by 2 orphans who find this game in their attic. This film and this game have absolutely everything, alright? So you're playing this game, you roll a 3. What's this? There's shitloads of monkeys come out of the board. He's rolled a 4. It's a lion, an actual lion. What have you rolled, Bob? A 1. What's this? It's a man who's been trapped inside the game for 26 years, right? this was Cardiff in the mid-1990s, yeah? There wasn't a lot happening. Short of taking this girl to see the Northern Lights, I couldn't have done any more. So obviously, this traumatic experience has kind of stayed with me. I'm not saying it's completely to blame, but it hasn't helped. I am single at the moment. This year, I've been mainly using the Bumble dating app and a short and successful spell on Guardian Soulmates. Right? I mean, I haven't lit the earth up on Bumble either, to be honest. It's weird. It's like, but on Bumble, I feel ignored and rejected. On Guardian Soulmates, I feel ignored, rejected, and aware of the fact that I don't know any of the bands on Six Music. But Guardian Soulmates has got a really nice feature, actually. They they sort of put a gallery of photos there of all the girls who get a message off you, look at you, and then basically go, wouldn't have thought so. So you can kind of, you just get all these photos of just people who are just basically like, staring back at you. But the worst thing about these apps, I think, is trying to explain what they are to people who met someone and fell in love organically when they were young. So I don't know if anyone else has had this, but so I was at a wedding a few years ago in Cornwall. I got sat on this table with this really like nice couple, like beautiful couple, and they're saying to me, oh, you know, like, what's all these apps about? You're doing the apps? I said, yeah. And this guy, when he goes to me, you must have some amazing stories from them. And the last day I've been on, all that was running through my head, this is one of the worst things that's ever happened to me. But I went to, and I've been regularly examined on 3 continents. I went to Camden on this date with this girl. 5 minutes in, it was going alright. I come back from the toilet, she's crying. Yeah. She'd been on Facebook and saw that her ex had got engaged. She's cried for 15 minutes. And then she goes to me, she stops crying and goes to me, have you got any hobbies? I play the bassoon, will that rescue this shitstorm? Oh, it was horrible. So that's running through my head. So I ended up just saying to this guy, like, loads of mad stuff, mate, loads of mad stuff. And they kind of just smile at each other, and he put his beautiful hand on hers, and they sort of went, oh, guess we're a couple of boring old losers, really. And I was just like, yeah, you happy, content losers. But yeah. But it's getting worse at the weddings as well, I think, and for the singles at the wedding, you know, we're kind of, there's less of us about now, like the African rhino. And like, you end up on the singles table, which years ago used to be mixed in with the others, but now you're a bit segregated. It's like, on all the other tables, they get like placemats made out of their own birthstones and stuff. On the single table, you get an ashtray full of pork pies and a revolver. You know what I mean? Pair off between you and shoot the ones that are left. Stay away from the buffet, it's for happy people. Anyway, bizarrely, I'm still really optimistic about finding love. I don't know why. And it's like, I've actually got 2 poems on it. Well, I could have read about 5, depending on what I write about. So this first one is about that thing where a lot of people say to me, oh, you see someone out you like him, go and talk to him, what's the worst that can happen? And I just think everything, anything, loads of stuff. So this is just about that.